Hey guys, this is Goddess Starla Vamp. I'm back on YouTube. I have another channel that I made several years ago called Starla is a Spider, and I had the domain starlaisaspider.com. It's abandoned. I can't get into that other channel. It just sits there. It's kind of like my MySpace. Just sort of let it go. But I have 9 videos on YouTube, and some of you subscribe to it, and I'm sorry that I can't get in and I've had to abandon it, but I deleted that email that I made it with, and there's no way that I can get in. So here I am now, and you may recognize this room. I have been in this apartment since 2008, and I've shot a lot of video here, and I've managed to keep it throughout the pandemic, which is great. I feel like this is my home. I'm comfortable here. And I've been keeping well during this time. And I wanted to recap with you guys and share some of my experiences, details that maybe I've left out over the past years. I haven't been that active on social media. I've taken a big break from BDSM lifestyle. It's been about 5 years now, so I've taken a break since 2017 for a bit of a lifestyle change. I won't get into that too much, but I will share things and insights that I'm comfortable with, and I'll be sharing things that it's not out of pressure, and it's from a place of reflection and wanting to share experience. And also there's legally things that I can't say, so I'm going to leave out big parts of the story. But if you're all ears, I'm going to give some insight into more of the origin of how the website came about and my entry into discovering BDSM. So I'm going to start, the beginning. Let's say 2003, 2004. I didn't really know what BDSM was. Let's go that far back. And the way that I was introduced to BDSM was through a bouncer at a bar. I was attracted to the bouncer. And I would leave with him. And he had a Betty Page poster above his bed. And it made me curious who that lady was, wearing the garter belt and stockings and holding a whip. I don't know if you guys know the image, but the whip is kind of drooping and it's seductive. And I was curious about that. And one night we came back and I was really drunk. This was back when I used to drink. And I said, do you do that? Do you whip? Do you know what that is? How to do that? And he said, no, I've never done anything like that. And it was my idea to try that. And he took his belt from his pants and we used that back and forth. And it's funny to think how that was such a kind of innocent, exploratory introduction to everything. And I instigated it, and he took it further. And looking back, we whipped each other's backs, which we didn't. That was the technique that we used, was just on the back. And then later, I was introduced to spanking, and you can whip on the ass. Okay. So that was my introduction, and then I got curious about what that was. It's fetish is a pop culture kind of thing, and you see a lady with a whip, or you know what fishnets are and things like this. But to really understand like the psychology and the behavior of everything, it's a deep dive. So, uh, I'm not that old, but you couldn't really look on the internet as accessibly for that kind of thing. Where do you look? How do you find out about this kind of stuff? Um, and I bought a Skin 2 magazine. So that was where that all started. And to think you would still have ads in the backs of these magazines, and you'd call these ladies and things like that, or these hotlines. And 2003, things were different. So I realized these people that wear latex, these rubber people, oh, maybe I like these rubber people. Maybe I am that. So, and then that was on the back burner. That just kind of was like simmering in the back. And I was going to art school, and it was 2004, and I met Randy. Where this all began. A lot of you have been asking about Randy, so I'm going to share, and there's things that I feel I want to talk about, I can't talk about, and things I just cannot talk about. When I met Randy, back then he was cross-dressed for Halloween, and he was wearing like 6-inch heels, maybe even bigger than that, just these huge platforms, and he was dressed as She-Hulk. And I was like a sexy nurse. And I saw him right away, and I was intrigued right away. And I'd always had a fascination with cross-dressing, maybe because of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain wearing a dress. And I just thought, this is so cool. A guy wears a dress. Like, it's so edgy and punk. So it was a karaoke party, and we got along right away. And I said to him, you can walk in those heels. This isn't just a Halloween thing. You know how to walk in them. You've done this before. And he said, yes, I cross-dress. Like, I do this a lot. And we partied all night and woke up with each other the next morning, and I hadn't seen him without makeup. And then the next day, he looked very different. He was a very different person, and it was really exciting and intriguing. And we hit it off. So 2005 rolls around, and I graduate art school. And that summer, we both had jobs to work on an installation at a museum. And we were giving up our apartments, and we were going to move to a closer location to the museum. And the funding fell through at the last minute. And so we were scrambling for a place to live, for new jobs. And we lived in this basement suite. And Randy had suggested, my ex-girlfriend does webcamming. Maybe you could make some money doing that. And I literally, Goddess Starla. Who would be Goddess Starla later? I literally said, I am not going to be an internet whore. So that was that. And I got a job as assistant manager at a jewelry store. And it wasn't a good fit. Of all the things I regret in my life, I honestly have to say, working that job, I had to pierce earrings with a gun. And anyone who is into any kind of body modification this is a little side note. Body modification, piercing, those guns are terrible. Those piercing guns. Even the fact that they're called piercing guns. So it wasn't the right fit. It didn't feel right. And I regret using those piercing whatever machines you want to call it. So I needed a new job, and I thought, okay, let's try this. Let's see what this is. This is kind of scary. Like, you're being videographed to who? You don't see these people. These men watch you. Who are these people? But it was exciting. And so 2005, I signed up on imlive.com, and I still to this day have the same account, which is just incredible to me. It's been a really long journey. So, lo and behold, I became an internet whore. And it was fun. And I realized, well, this is interesting. I like talking to the camera. I like these fetish people, the skin to rubber people. Like, this is really interesting. And I called the back of the paper, and it was for adult movies, something adult erotic movies. Like, it wasn't explicitly like porn, make porn. But so then I called that number, and it turned out to be a dungeon. I didn't know what a dungeon was. I didn't know. Yeah. It was a dungeon. And I can't even remember the name of the owner. Oh my God, it's terrible. As time goes by, you just these little details slip away. So he did an introduction. We did a test run. Me as a sub. Yeah. But I wasn't scared enough to leave. Like, it seemed interesting. And I actually didn't shoot video with them, but I started doing sessions. And the money was good. I was like a submissive schoolgirl who would get caned. And that's what, like, it was a really interesting introduction to everything. Like, kind of a sort of classic introduction. And I met the mistresses there. And I did a really brief apprenticeship with one of them. So this was 2006. Randy and I got married in Vegas in real life, real life. December 17th. And then given the circumstances, I ended up moving to a different city for work. So this was 2007, and I ended up working at a webcam studio. And to this day, this was some of the funnest experiences I've ever had. I worked with a bunch of other girls, and we all had our separate rooms, and we would do solo shows. And every now and then we would pair up and do girl shows or girl-a-thons where we'd all like get together and play Twister and things like that. It was incredible. We had like these party nights, and we'd wear different costumes and do all these different fetishes and things like that. And it was a blast. And when I was there, I was kind of looking to start a fetish website, and I was gonna go off with someone else and start it. And then a girl that I worked with, she said, "Oh, you should meet this guy. I did this shoot for him, and I wore a dog collar, and I did all this kinky stuff. You would really like him." And so I got his email, and I messaged him. like, let's shoot together. Let's make a fetish website. And I was so presumptuous about the whole thing because I just thought, well, I want to make a fetish website and you make them. So let's do this. And it took him a while for him to get back to me. But then we finally met up. I'm going to call him Beta, my former business partner. So we go to Beta's office, me and Randy. And I had thought that I was going to be the submissive and Randy was going to be the dominant. It didn't even occur to me that I would be the dominant. I just presumed for some reason that because he was a man, he wanted to see a man be dominant. Like, it's cooler or whatever. And so we get in there, we sit down, we tell him about ourselves and then that we were actually married. And then he said, no, he would be the submissive. And I don't know why, but he had some bondage rope on his desk. I guess because he knew what he makes bondage videos. So it's on his desk. And he asked Randy to put his hands behind his back. And he said, you're very flexible. See, you were made to be submissive and be tied up from the back. Whereas I have such a big rib cage that I have a hard time putting my arms behind my back. So that kind of seemed like a sign or something. If not that I believe in signs, but that seemed like a good thing that, well, you can go like that. Oh, you can play the part. You can play the part. And Beta says to me, and you're not a mistress, you're a goddess. And I thought, goddess? What? What are you talking about? People call each other goddesses? Okay, yeah, I'm a goddess, of course. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. So that kind of stuck, and that really, really struck a chord with me in the way that he said it. And the whole introduction just sort of gelled. And we did a test shoot. For those of you who joined the site, you probably know the very, very first video where Randy proves his loyalty to me. And that was the video that sealed the direction for the whole website. And it just all took off. And we kept shooting and shooting and shooting for our launch. And we launched 2008, and it was actually our Randy and mine's wedding anniversary, December 17th, which million signs, but it was a coincidence. And that all really took off. And Beta knew Fetish. We walked into that mapping and he directed the scenarios, and it was a brainstorm between the three of us, but Beta was really the think tank. And then once we learned that behavior, it became real. Like it suited us so well that it became real. And because people ask, well, are you guys really 24/7 dominant submissive? And we weren't. But in a way, it was always that thing in the background, and we kind of were in a way. Like, it made our relationship more romantic in the sense of when we would actually do the dishes, it's like it was romantic. It was like the internet was curious if we were actually doing house chores. So there was a buzz, and it was really fun. And for a long time, it was like the fantasy was real, and it seemed like the dream. Our fantasy, career artists. Yeah, we were living the dream. And then I worked at another dungeon, 2010. Randy told me he wanted to transition. And I started having a drinking problem. And we separated 2011. And we were living in different places. And things just started becoming a nightmare. What was the fantasy? And I tell people I was in love. And I thought that was forever. I thought that kind of fantasy was like, because you make a choice to put things on the internet. And I just felt like this is a genuine representation of myself in reality. Like, I like these messages, I like who we are, and we're in love, and I want to share that love. But I thought that was forever. And then the more time that goes on, the more you evolve, and then the more that you realize how things change. And nothing is forever, ever. Never anything is forever. And so I got sober April 17th, 2011. And I had a lot of friends help me through everything and give me support. But I put myself into my work, and that was really channeling me and helping me focus, and kind of put me deeper into that, if you want to call it research, fetish research. I just really got into it really deep for quite a while. So I'd say lifestyle wise, like working as a pro dom for about 4 years, like from even 2010, because I worked at another dungeon and I really fell into this dense rabbit hole of human behavior, and it still echoes in my psyche. And then I feel like with pro doming and everything, I was kind of at the top of my game when I was 33 in 2014. And then I had a back injury. I had a slipped disc, and I had sciatica, and my leg was numb for months. Like, it probably took about 8 months for the feeling to really come back. So I had to really settle down 2015 after my injury. And it could have been the high-heeled shoes, you know. And I also want to mention that 2003, I didn't really know, or I didn't understand transitioning. I didn't understand. And Randy had said the day we met on Halloween that he wanted to transition into a woman. I didn't really understand what that meant. I do now. The world was really different. The world was really different. And the internet has changed so much. And I hadn't spoken to Randy since 2015. We really went our separate ways. And when I say Randy is like her dead name. So when people ask me, how's Randy? Like, Randy's changed. She's been living as a woman since 2011 and lives in a different city and has a long-term girlfriend. And I don't know anything else about it. I hadn't spoken to her for 7 years, and recently I reached out to her because a mutual friend passed away, and I thought she would want to know. And I told a friend of mine that in the face of death, there is no point in being hung up on petty things. And whatever differences that we have or differences of perspective, the important thing is to move forward. And I think everyone, with the current state of the world, we're struggling with the pandemic and we're struggling with our technology. And we're struggling with our identity. I think the important thing for me in the media that I make and at this point is you cannot just dismiss people as pornographers. You can't just dismiss porn. There is something much, much deeper there. And however closer we can get to expressing that is beneficial. We're in a point where we need transparency and communication, and I want to be a better communicator, and I want to be able to share my work, whatever I've done with my fans. My fans, bless you, bless you. You've been on this ride with me, and if you can take something away from the things that I've done and my work and my story and make use of it, that's amazing. And I can't express to you enough Randy and I created something, and it's like, I'm gonna use the metaphor of a butterfly. It's like we created this butterfly and it was our butterfly, and then it shattered and became like all these other little butterflies and went off into the world. And I don't know where they're going or what's happening. Life just keeps fluttering off, and I can't even express to you, like, a lot of my fans, they'll come to me and they look like Randy. And you guys are doing what Randy used to do. And it's, I don't know. I'm still sitting in the same place in my apartment. Like, after all these years. And, I don't know. I gotta say, I feel blessed.